I'm Reese and welcome to the kitchen. Today we are in my kitchen in Dallas, Texas again, and I'm going to show you how to make toffee. I find making toffee is very easy and it's always a request from friends. I usually make toffee at Christmas in big batches and give to co-workers, friends, the mailman, anyone like that that enjoys a good treat. And like I said, I always have lots of requests for it. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make the toffee. The ingredients that you need for toffee are actually very simple. You'll need sugar, light Caro syrup, or light corn syrup. This is the Caro brand. You can use the store brand if you like. 2 sticks of butter and some milk chocolate. I use the chips, but you can chop up a brand of chocolate that you like. It just is to melt it on the top. You can also use pecans or walnuts or almonds. In general, I now make it without the nuts because I've had several people say, ooh, I don't like pecans or I don't like walnuts. So unless it's a special request, I don't put it on there. You'll also need a heavy pot, a 1 cup measuring cup, measuring spoons, a cookie rack or sheet, and a cooling rack, or you can use a trivet. You just need to be able to put the cookie sheet on top of something that will allow it to cool, as it will be very hot. You'll need some sort of a spreader. This is just an icing spreader that you can spread the chocolate when it's melted on top of the toffee. You'll need a wooden spoon. I prefer wooden. You can use any kind of spoon you'd like to. It's just to stir the toffee while it's cooking. You'll need a candy thermometer. And as I said, this one's from the grocery store. And as I said in my marshmallow video, you can get them at the grocery store or Williams-Sonoma or online, anywhere. Just get a candy thermometer, and I usually replace mine about once a year. And then you'll need a knife with a sharp tip so that once your toffee is dry and cool, you'll be able to break it all apart. Okay, let's get started on the toffee. I've got our heavy pan here. I'm going to put it on the stove and we're going to cook it over a medium heat. Excuse Lainey. She's hoping that I dropped the butter. But you'll have 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. So we're just going to put the 2 sticks of butter in the pan, along with 1 cup of sugar. Just pour it all in there. The butter will start to melt. Do not use margarine for this recipe. I've never used margarine. I'm a butter girl, but it's all about the butter. This recipe is all about the butter. You'll need 3 tablespoons of water. I've measured them out in this bowl and I'm just pouring them in. And you will need 1 tablespoon of your light corn syrup. And I always kind of overflow it a little bit because some of the corn syrup does stick. So you just put that all in there. And your butter will start to melt. Just give it a little mix. And I've got my candy thermometer here that I'm going to put in. And when it all starts to melt, it will all come together and kind of look like a syrup. And you're going to cook it until it is 290 degrees. And then we will pour it on the cookie sheet. So while you you don't want to burn it, so just cook it over a medium heat, and while it's cooking, stir it occasionally, and do take your spoon out. There's no need to cook your spoon. I have a bad habit of leaving my spoons in there, but I always try to remember I don't want to cook the spoon with the toffee. So just let it sit there, stir it occasionally until it reaches 290 degrees. My toffee is now at about a little over 275. You'll see that it is bubbling and starting to brown a little bit. You just want to watch it at this stage. Stir it. You don't want it to burn. You do want that brown kind of toffee color. So while you're waiting for it to hit about 290, I've got my cooling rack here, and I've got my baking sheet, cookie sheet. So I'm going to put that right there, and I've got my chocolate. I'm just going to stir as it gets a little browner. Not quite there yet. I've got my chocolate. I'm just going to open it. It's a hard sucker. Open. So I'm just going to use my knife. And once you've poured your toffee onto the baking sheet, you're going to sprinkle your chocolate all over the top, and it will melt. I'll show you in 1 second. So my toffee is getting browner. You just really want to watch it at this point. You'll see that it's getting a lot thicker. I am at about 290 right now. I just want to make sure everything's stirred really well. Kind of clean off my thermometer here. And be careful not to submerge your thermometer all the way. It will get water in it, so I just usually thoroughly wash the tip. So here's my toffee. See, it's very hot. It's definitely changed in consistency and in color. So now I'm just going to take it and pour it onto the cookie sheet. It comes out very easily. Just kind of scrape it. Turn off my stove, and then I just kind of take it and spread it a little bit. Be very careful not to touch the bottom. It is really, really hot. You don't have to fill the whole cookie sheet, just spread it. As you break it apart, you know, you don't really need it like in a uniform. So there's my toffee. And I will now take and just spread your chocolate chips or your chopped up chocolate all over the top evenly. And don't put it in mounds because you want the heat of the toffee to melt the chocolate. And do this pretty quickly so that the chocolate does melt. So you just spread it all around. Like I said, evenly. And I do use the whole bag, so that it has a nice thick chocolate topping on the top. And I just kind of spread it out with my hands. Every little part does not have to be covered at this point. We will spread it. So that's what mine looks like. And we'll let it sit for just 1 minute. And we'll get our spreader. And you'll be able to see that the chocolate starts to melt. I'm just going to smooth it over here and kind of help it melt. My chocolate is now melted. As you can see, you'll be able to tell it looks the chocolate chips look melted. And if you're having trouble getting the chocolate chips to melt, you can always stick it in the oven. Just watch it really carefully. You don't want to cook it. You just want to warm up the chocolate. So now that they're melted, I just take my cake spreader, icing spreader, and as you can see, you just spread the chocolate, and I just get it all the way to the... So you just spread it all out. Excuse Jackson, my golden retriever, who's decided to come into the kitchen and make noise. So this just takes a few minutes, a couple of seconds, I guess, a minute maybe. And you'll notice the pan has already cooled down a little bit, but still be careful. Just smooth it. It doesn't have to look pretty. You're going to break it all into pieces anyway, so this is what mine looks like. So now I will leave it on the drying rack in the open. I don't cover it. I don't put it in the refrigerator because when I put it in the refrigerator before, my chocolate turned white, and I don't want that. So I just leave it out in the open for, you know, you can check it after about an hour, but I would probably say 2 hours or so, and let it totally harden and the chocolate harden, and then we'll break it into pieces. Okay, now our toffee has completely cooled, and you can tell the chocolate is set, and when you pop the pan, you can tell that the toffee pops up off the pan. So now, be careful with this part. You're going to take your toffee, you're going to take your knife, and I just kind of put it in, and it pops and breaks. You can break it into any sizes that you like. Sometimes you can do it just with your thumb. A big piece comes off, and you can just break it. The knife seems to give you more even breaks. So you're just going to break up all the toffee. Like I said, you can make it into any size, smaller sizes if you want, or the bigger sizes. And then I have a few little ideas for how you can give it as Valentines. You can get a cute little Valentine. I just got these at the drugstore, and you can put it in a Ziploc, or you can just put it right on in and just fill it up, and then give this as your Valentine. Or you can get a cute bag. Again, these are from the drugstore. They just have hearts all over them. And just fill up the bag. You don't have to use a Ziploc when you do this. And then just seal the bag, and you can always put a Valentine card with it. Or a little idea that I had, I took 2 large Valentine doilies, and I hot glued about from here to here on down to just kind of make a little Valentine pouch. And I wrote on it Happy Valentine's Day in glitter glue. And then you can just kind of use this and fill it up. And you can write anything on here. You could write, "I melt for you," or any cute little Valentine saying, and just fill it up with your chocolates, and then just give that as your Valentine. My glue is not all the way holding, so you just want to make sure that you do get it good and glued. So there is how to make toffee and some cute ideas for how to give it for Valentine's. Thanks for joining, and have a happy Valentine's Day.